Okay, time to have a look at the back pages and where we are with the transfer situation for the January transfer window. It's much the same as it always was, mate. In terms of ins, the only person that has changed or that has appeared since the last time we recorded a podcast is Dorgu from Lecce, which seems like old news now. It feels like it's that rumour's been out there for about 3 or 4 days by now as we're recording. Still, apparently, negotiating with him. He's a left wing back at Lecce. I think they're in the relegation zone, so they are keen to kind of cash in on their stars right now. Still negotiating, but I read this morning that Napoli have now entered the chat and they fancy a bit of him as well, which is probably because we've pulled the plug or walked away from negotiations with them over Garnacho. So I don't know. What do you think of Dorgu? Or should I say, what do you think of his YouTube show reel?
Yeah, he looks good on YouTube, to be honest. I mean, honestly, personally, I like I always say, I think I have PTSD players coming from other leagues. You know, like it doesn't matter how many reels I can watch, how good they look on the YouTube videos. I won't be excited or convinced until I've personally watched them, and for example, Champions League or in the Premier League for sure. So yeah, Dorgu, if you want to just look at it just plainly, yeah, he's left-footed. He looks aggressive. He looks fast. He looks strong. He's tall. I think he's good with both feet, which are all good things, good attributes to have in a player. He's young. I don't know. Let's see. Honestly, the prices that are being quoted right now, they're asking for about like 40 million. I think that's way too steep, especially considering like the negotiations that we're having for Garnacho. Yeah, which we're gonna get to that.
Yes, of course.
It's the say about that.
Exactly. It's the Manchester United tax, though. Whenever we go into negotiations with anyone, they think that they can just get as much money out of us as possible.
And they do.
So, yeah, exactly. Because, Woodward oversaw one of the worst transfer periods for Manchester United, overpaying for players, and it set the template. And you can't really come back down from that. And one of the things that I was supposed to say at the top of this in terms of the transfers is there was a great article, I think it might have been on The Athletic, where they was talking about how Manchester United over the past 8 years, maybe 10 years, they've been paying for players on like what we call in the UK on tick, which basically means like hire purchase. So you buy a player for 80 million. Pogba's long gone, and I think we're still paying for him now because they were paying for players on like credit cards and all types of stuff, getting loans for it. So yeah, it's basically a shambles, which is why we're not looking at your Alphonso Davies players, why we're not looking at your Vinicius Junior. Like, we don't sit at that top table anymore. As Kevin Maguire said, Kieran Maguire. He's Kieran Maguire, that's it. I knew it was something beginning with K. As he said, Manchester United are living a Champions League lifestyle and Europa League finances, and we can't afford these types of players anymore. So someone like Dorgu, who I've read mixed reports about him. So the guy on Blue Sky, I forget his username, but there was a guy on Blue Sky that did a long thread on his strengths and weaknesses. And his weaknesses sound like basically what Davo is. Like, gets knocked off the ball easily, dives into challenges, can't get back, not very good at crossing. But the only difference is that he has the only difference is that he's got a left foot. So that's basically
it. That's not enough. I mean, that's why I was saying we need to, if you want, if you get them for like 15 million, 20 million max, then okay, it's a risk worth taking. But if you're paying that much for a player that's so unknown, we've done that mistake way too many times before, and you keep on paying that price like years ahead. We've done that with Hoyland. Apparently, we've done that with Xerxes. We've, I don't know. I can keep on going, but if you want to pay that price, just add another 10 million. Get someone proven from the Prem. I don't know. Just we have to get our recruitment right, especially like you're saying, our finances are in a shambles, and it's not going to be sustainable for much longer. We've been living off our like history. We've been living off our reputation for the past 10 years. We've not been doing well on the pitch, and you have to do well on the pitch to have proper revenue. But we're going to lose all our sponsors, all our income with all these financial fair play and PSR rules coming in. It's not like someone can just come in and put something from their own pocket and like we can function again. We can go for whoever we want. It doesn't work like that anymore.
That's interesting that you mentioned that. I know we've kind of gone off topic slightly here, but there has been no announcement for how they're going to clear the debt, right? They haven't talked about how they're going to do that. I mean, it seems fairly obvious that they're going to just sell off anything that's not nailed down so that they can try and clear some of the debt. But while clearing the debt is, the great long-term goal, there's also performances on the pitch that we need to address, and the players on the pitch, players in the squad that we need to bring in and sell to try and get back there again. And it's interesting to me, and it kind of links on to the next person that we're linked to coming in this window, is an 18-year-old Arsenal Academy centre-back called Aidan Heaven, which is a great name, first and foremost. That's a fantastic name. But it's like getting Chido Obi Martin. He's 18. He's not coming into the first team to be, to be a starter straight away. But I think it's changed. Our policy is going to change to just getting rid of young players. We're going to become one of those factories like Chelsea, where they just get rid of the young players and just nail on as much profit as possible. Which is why Garnacho is in the shop window, which is why Mainu's in the shop window, which is why McTominay left, which is why they're desperate to get rid of Rashford. I'll come to the outs in a second, but it does feel like that's their new approach to things. And not to do the in the know thing, but I have it on good authority from someone that I know who's well connected, that they're completely broke. Manchester United are completely broke. They cannot spend in January. They cannot, unless they sell.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it means that we have to sell, even if it's not ideal selling academy players, but if you can get good money for academy players, then you do it. Because honestly, that's the only way we can accelerate the process. Because otherwise, we're gonna have to wait for like more than 5 years easily for us to get back into a position where we're financially stable enough to be able to build teams however like we want or the manager wants. If it means selling Garnacho, unfortunately, if it means selling Kobe, even though I would hate that, but if you get an offer of like close to 100 million, 150, we're not going to get 150, but like if you get close to 100, it's something to consider. Rashford for sure. Whatever you can get for him, do it. Because that is all pure profit. And like you said, we're still paying off players that we bought 7-8 years ago. And that's it's very restrictive. Like we can't do anything. We're looking at players, like you said, players from other academies getting Chido Obi. Like we're focusing on that, which is not wrong, to be honest. Like that is a good strategy, but it's gonna take time to show on the pitch. But but again, it doesn't mean doesn't mean like
let's get onto it.
Yeah, like if you're gonna go Garnacho,
exactly Garnacho. Yeah. I could take him potentially leaving to go to Napoli for like 40-50 million quid, but now that Chelsea have entered the fray, and there's a possibility that he could go to one of our rivals in the Premier League, it stings. I don't like it. I do not like it, and it sets a dangerous precedent, and I'm not into it at all. because I said this before. What is football without having that connection with the players that we've got? Garnacho played well last night, and if you're just going to sell him to a rival just to balance the books, rather than put your hand in your pocket and come up with some creative ways to bring money into the club, and stop talking about a bit like billion pound project of redeveloping a football stadium. I know it needs updating, but you're talking pie in the sky because you're not addressing what the main problem is here. So if it is Garnacho to go to Chelsea, I feel sick. Yeah. I genuinely feel sick. And I know that 50 million, the summary of it, like, you know, it's like asking someone to explain it like you're 5 years old. The summary of the PSR thing is selling for 50 million, pure profit, means close to 150 million pounds that you can then spend because it's spread across 3 years or whatever it is. So yes, selling Garnacho does allow you to bring in potentially 260 million pound players. But I don't know. How do you feel about it? Oh, sorry, one last thing. Ratcliffe sanctioning this to Chelsea as well and being okay with it. He used to be a season ticket holder at Stamford Bridge. Like, sorry, that's fishy to me. Yeah, it's too fishy. I'm not into it.
No. The thing with Garnacho, it's if you want to sell him to a Premier League rival like Chelsea, especially Chelsea or one of the teams that are like in competition with us, you don't sell him for 60 million. You just don't. He's 20 years old. He's had about 3 years of experience at the Prem. He's proven that he's actually good. He has a lot of potential. He's an Argentinian international player, and yeah, like you don't sell him for 60. Like it's just ridiculous how people are. They mug off United. Literally, they just mug off United. Like they sold us Mount for about 55 million pounds, I think. He had 1 year left on his contract. The previous season, he was injured the whole season, and yeah, like and he wasn't 20. He was about 24 or something. So how the hell do you go into negotiations accepting 60 as like even I don't know, like if they say 60, you hang up the phone, and yeah, like if you wanna actually negotiate, come back with 80 plus, because we're not gonna sell. You keep him. It's fine. Like I don't know. Like we're not that desperate. I think I'd like to think so, to be honest. But like 60 million to sell him to Chelsea is it's ridiculous. I don't know.
I think they are that desperate. I think the financial situation is basically a wildfire at Old Trafford, and 60 million buys the world's biggest bucket of water that you can find and douses it. Because why else would you even consider it, selling Garnacho to Chelsea? If he was playing for Benfica, for example, and he was available this season, you're looking at 80 mil. You're looking at 80 mil to prize him away from someone like Benfica. And look at Gyökeres. He's got a clause in his contract. I know that not everyone always pays the clause in the contract. It's 100 mil. And if they don't get close to that, they won't sell him. It's simple as that. Garnacho's got his entire career ahead of him. And to sell him for 50 million to Chelsea, I'm not into that at all. I might even turn this into a Salford City podcast.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's just ridiculous. Like you said, if he was at anywhere else, if he was at Madrid, if he was at Barcelona, like Athletic Bilbao were quoting around like 80 million for Nick Williams when he's had only one good season and maybe the good 4 weeks that he had at the Euros. Like and no one accepted. Okay, they weren't gonna pay that much, and he just stayed. That's how it should be. Like that's how it should be. Speaking of Benfica, if you want to pay 30 million or 40 million for Dorgu, yeah, you go buy Alvaro Fernandez. You have a buyback clause.
We've got 16 million buyback
clause. It's ridiculous. Like, why would you go and pay 40 million when you're in this financial state, when you have someone like that you have a buyback clause? I don't know. Just some things don't make sense to me.
See, the only thing that I can think is because it doesn't just allow you to go back and get the player again, because I think the buyback clause is for security, and it keeps the club, connected to an asset that could develop into something absolutely amazing. But at the same time, there's a human being at the other end of this, and if he's happy in Benfica and he's happy in Portugal and he's playing regular football, I need to double check this, but surely the player has a choice in the matter. Surely the player just goes, no, I don't want to go back. They can't force him. They can't just go over there and be like, right, you're coming back to Manchester United. It's like, well, no, I've got my family here. I've got my wife here. I've got my kids in school. Like, no. So it could be on him. He could be like, no, I've been there. I've done that. I don't fancy it. So there's, it could be on the player's side of things. That's all I'm saying. But in terms of other outs, getting back to the transfer section that we were talking about, in terms of other outs, it looks like Rashford's going to stay. They're desperate to get rid of him. He wasn't even in the squad, and he was watching from the stands last night, as he posted on Instagram. But they are desperate to get him off that wage bill. Desperate to get him off, and that's. I don't think that's an Amorim decision. I do not think that's an Amorim decision. I don't think. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think Rashford is training worse than Højlund or worse than Xerxes. I don't think he's training worse than Anthony. I think he's just... Manchester United have seen a way to get a huge chunk of change, and they're doing everything possible to get him out. And Barcelona can't afford him now. It was his dream to go there, but they can't afford him because they've just signed... Araujo, is that how you pronounce it? Roger Araujo. They've just put him on a new contract. I think they was hoping to get rid of Eric Garcia. It looks like he's going to start a new contract as well. And Ansu Fati, one of the most prodigal talents that Barcelona have ever had, is just like permanently injured. So they can't shift him out either. He had a decent spell at Brighton, but he was injured there as well. So is Rashford, with that in mind, if he's not going, can you see him being brought back into the team once the window closes?
Yeah. I can see him getting back into the team for more than one reason. A, it's because literally we don't have attacking players. We're very, very thin in that area. So if the window closes and he's still there and he's been training, he's going to gradually get back into the team. And B, if they still have an idea of selling him in the summer, then he's going to have to be playing from now until the summer so that they can get like a decent fee for him. I don't know. But with Rashford, I think it was mutual between Amorim and the board. I'm sure he's seen stuff that he didn't appreciate, which led him to just basically freezing him out. And the fact that he's been training but he hasn't been in the squad for the past, more than a month, that shows that Amorim he's not happy about it. And especially when you're paying a player that much, he's been paid like about £450,000 a week, and he's not showing
before
that
tax,
so it's not showing that he's earning that. I don't know if anything's going to happen from now until the end of the window. There's still a chance maybe Barca, they managed to somehow offload Ansu Fati and then they can get him in. Barca always seem to find a way to, they find ways around all these rules, as we've seen with Olmo and the other player, I don't remember who. Dortmund are still a possibility. I think if
they're a disaster though. They're a disaster at the moment. They just sacked Nuri Sahin.
They might get
Ten Hag. Yeah. That would be interesting.
So if Napoli don't get Garnacho, they're gonna go for Karim Adeyemi, which is he's a left winger as well, and they're gonna get about 50 million for him. That leaves a spot open for Rashford. Maybe they can finance it. They can find a way. Maybe it's like a domino effect that's going to happen. It's still a possibility. I still see him leaving somehow. But if he doesn't, then I also see him playing again for the club, which, to be honest, I don't know. I just don't see the point at all.